Hello and welcome back to the Sports Brief Podcast. Colton Hall. Early happy Thanksgiving to everybody. Tristin, happy Thanksgiving.
Appreciate it, as to you.
Got a big week this week. A lot of stuff happened in the NFL and around, other sports, which we won't cover today. We're mainly going to cover the NFL. But the first thing we need to cover is actually you subscribing to the show, following us on all social media. Get that like and subscribe in. Let us know what we're doing right, what we're doing wrong in the comment section, and let's get this wagon train rolling. So, first thing, Vikings had a bye. Packers, not so much. You want to go over what your little rant over there on Facebook about the Packers?
It might as well have been a bye because they didn't show up to play Sunday night in San Francisco. Mm-hmm. That was an absolute embarrassment. That's both trips out to California this weekend or this year. They just haven't showed up to play either game, to the Chargers or to the Niners.
So wait, you're telling me that this time they didn't, like you said, I think you said something about how they didn't get there 2 days early so that they could mess around and then have another day for business. That thing didn't work out, or?
No, they didn't go a day early. They went on Saturday again.
Really? This team's got to leave on Friday. I'm telling you.
Yeah, they need to leave on Friday, have a whole day to do whatever, get ready for the game on Saturday, and then play Sunday. But I don't know. They weren't ready. They were not ready for that 49ers defense at all. I don't think they expected it to be that good. I posted, I don't know if you read the post I put on Facebook about.
I did very fondly.
I thought it was pretty good, pretty logical. Yeah, the biggest takeaways from that game, obviously nobody showed up to play. The offensive line certainly didn't show up to play. Mm-hmm. Aaron Rodgers didn't show up to play. Our receivers didn't show up to play. Matt LaFleur didn't show up to coach. It was just bad, really, really bad performance by everybody. Our special teams didn't show up. J.K. Scott was out there booting 20 and 30-yard punts all game. Mm-hmm. So I don't know what his deal is. Our defense, our corners, our good corners, Kevin King, Jair Alexander, out here getting burned by tight ends. It's not looking good. But
in his defense, though, he is the best tight end in the NFL, according to you, and now I actually agree with that, which we'll get into in a second. But
I do think he's the best tight end in football, so we'll give the cornerbacks a little bit of slack there, I guess. But yeah. Kittle coming off an ankle injury and a knee injury that he's been out with for the last couple of weeks. He came up, put up 130 yards and a touchdown against Green Bay's defense, which it's Green Bay's defense. Their passing defense isn't very good. They either have a really good game or a really bad game. They weren't able to get to Jimmy Garoppolo as much as they should have been. They did get a couple sacks on him, but he's a lot better quarterback than I expected him to be under pressure. Mm-hmm. He deserves a lot of credit. The Niners are a really good football team. But I think they'll play the Ravens this next week.
Yeah, I think they're going to get rocked.
I think they're going to get rocked by the Ravens. I think the Ravens are a different animal. Their defense is no joke. Their pass rush is no joke. It doesn't matter what kind of rush you throw at Lamar Jackson. He's
going to run through it.
Yeah, it doesn't matter. You can pick your poison. You can either rush him and let him run, or you can cover and let him beat you with his arm at this point. But, yeah, Green Bay didn't show up to play. Not a lot to talk about from Minnesota because they had a bye, right?
Yeah, nothing.
Yeah, but luckily for the Packers, 4 of their next 5 games should be pretty easy wins, I think. They got the Giants this next week and then the Redskins and then Minnesota, a Monday night game in Minnesota. That'll be a tough one. That'll probably be their biggest challenging game the rest of the schedule. And then it's the Lions should be a win and the Bears should be a win.
You would hope so.
So the Packers should be looking at finishing the season 12-4 or 13-3. I think 12-4 probably, because I think Minnesota will probably get us. Honestly, the way our defense hasn't been showing up to play. But what do you think?
Dude, I just I want to do 2 things here. My first reaction is, Viking fans and Packer fans have this intense rivalry, and that's okay. That's sports. That's how it goes. I wanted to come in here and talk a whole bunch of trash, but A, that's not my style. I've never been about that life. And number 2, I'm decided to take the high road for a couple of different reasons. Number 1, I have experienced those losses, especially as a Vikings fan, so I know exactly how it feels. And then also number 2, it's the fact that, dude, there's still 5 games left, plenty of football left to be played. And it's just the fact that anything could happen throughout the last month and a week or whatever it is. As far as the Vikings and Packers game coming up, that is absolutely the game that I would say that's probably the most important game to the season, probably to the date for both teams, because I mean this is the division, boys. This is strap up and go time. This is what it all means right here. So as far as I really don't know what to expect. I have the Vikings losing 2 more games the rest of the year in the Seahawks into the Packers, because I feel like the Packers, I don't know. Again, this wasn't a great, obviously this wasn't a great one. This wasn't a very pretty game in any means of the imagination. But again, I would much rather have the Packers. If I'm a Packers fan, that is, I would much rather have the Packers play like this. Maybe not on prime time, but I'd much rather have them play like this earlier in the season rather than go say week 15 or 16. Again, it's not a great look for the Packers, but at the same time, they'll be able to. This should stick in their craw for a little bit. They should have an attitude about this game. And I think kind of moving forward, if the Vikings do it, I think they will. I think NFL teams are going to catch on to Kirk Cousins. I really do, because it's easy. Stop Dalvin Cook, and then he rolls out to his left and throws a touchdown. That's literally what the Vikings offense has been ever since Stephon Diggs and everybody else called him out. So that's what it's been. It's nothing special. That's literally the offense. So it's the play action. I think the teams are going to heat up on that. The Vikings don't have a corner like an actual legitimate corner that can guard somebody. So it's only just a matter of time before NFL teams figure out Kirk Cousins. So I actually, even though I do appreciate the love that you gave us, the Vikings don't deserve it. I just don't think that they're going to be able to come up with a win, because I think teams are going to find a way to stop Kirk Cousins. Anywho, let's see here. I'm getting out our outline here, and I'm kind of looking through all of this, Tristin, and I'm asking myself, what is the next step for the Vikings and the Packers, and really just the whole team. I'm talking about the Vikings bye week. I'm pretty happy for one big reason, and that reason is nobody's in jail. Nobody got killed. I would not joke about that. Even if that had happened, that would be awful. But everybody's home. We're going to practice this week. Zimmer's probably going to have an aneurysm, just like he does every practice. That's just Mike Zimmer. But everybody's home. Nothing, no bad news. It's just a great. I'm excited that the Vikings football is going to be back. On just a week off. I remember what you said it a couple weeks ago when the Packers had a bye. Your life had no meaning for a week. I know how you felt, because I was sitting there all of Sunday and Monday. I wasn't feeling very well on Sunday after the day before we went out and went on a hunt and didn't get anything, and I just didn't have anything to do. So now the Vikings heal up some of those injuries, kind of move into this next week, see if they can go against the Seahawks, and let's kind of go into that game. Maybe get your take too as well. I believe the Vikings are going to lose the Seahawks. Let's face it, the Seahawks are red hot right now. What they just did to the Eagles, it wasn't a 30-point blowout, but it may as well been, because their defense is legit. Russell Wilson is MVP candidate, even though I think Lamar Jackson should run away with it. The Seahawks team, especially since it's in Seattle, it's going to be a great game. I have it as an L for the Vikings. What's some insights that you see happening in this game, or just things you're looking for?
I don't know. It honestly depends on the Vikings secondary, I think. Russell Wilson, despite his numbers, he throws a lot of footballs that are really opportunistic for defenses. Mm-hmm. He's got a lot of passes that are tipped, that aren't intercepted. So if the Vikings can manage to intercept some of the tipped balls he throws, they could end up winning it. I don't think the Vikings will win it. I think the Seahawks will win it. I think they're just too good right now. Mm-hmm. How good Russell Wilson has been playing, but I don't really see any way the Vikings win this game, especially because it's in Seattle. But you never know. I didn't think they were going to beat the Broncos either when they were down 20 points at halftime. But I guess you never know what can happen. You never know.
Mm-hmm. Yep, it's going to be a really fun game moving forward. I don't want it to be a game like the Vikings played last year, where it was like 20-9 or whatever, and there's just no offensive. There's like the Bears game of this year, just no offensive continuity. They just weren't able to get anything going until garbage time, when it didn't matter. And let's see here. That's all I really want to say about it. I actually wanted to talk about something else, in that I wanted to bring up a player from both the Vikings and the Packers that you're happy to see back. Maybe that wasn't there last year. And if you want me to go first on this, I can. Because I have a specific player. You want me to go first?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay. Sorry. I read an article today on Everson Griffin, and last year I tell a story all the time on the podcast about how I didn't get me a picture. It's okay, Everson. No hard feelings. I understand. I'm not gonna tell the story again, but I just want to reiterate the fact that I really called this guy having a comeback year, and it wasn't because he's such an amazing football player. I just know as a person, just watching from the last couple of years, the maturity I've seen it up Everson Griffin, and the ways that he's been able to really come back from all adversity, not just what went on. I was really encouraged to see him coming back like this. I think he leads the NFL in pressures right now. He's second on the Vikings with 7 sacks. He's been great against the run. The whole Vikings defensive line has, but Everson Griffin has had a bounce back year. And for those of you that don't know, well, you probably do know, but Everson Griffin he missed, I think it was 5 or 6 games last year because of mental health issues. And if watching him for the last 7-10 years, something like that, it's probably been 10 years, yeah. And just watching him for this long, I've noticed that this guy is so high strung, it's not even funny. Like, he is so out there. Like, he's a psycho. You watch him and I kind of knew something like this, not that mental health issue, but just like maybe just breaking down altogether, just having some troubles coping with not winning a championship, because he's so intense. He's such a hard worker and just a great football player that it's you watch a guy like that, you just want him to win so bad. And I even if he doesn't win one with the Vikings, I do want him to win one, because there doesn't come a lot of time. Comes a lot of times when sometimes those championships, they elude those really good players. And just being able to watch Everson for the last couple of years, it's been absolutely you've grown to love the guy. And even though he's a terror on the defensive line for the Minnesota Vikings, he's also somebody that has really come a long way. And I read the story today. After the whole the issue last year, he started working differently with his trainer, and I think that the main thing they wanted to drive here is the fact that it's a whole different mindset. It's kind of going through everything. It's everything has a purpose. Everything is. It's more relaxed, and I mean it's about turning himself off, and as a Vikings defensive end, you can look, pretty much any just Vikings defensive end probably, whether it's Everson Griffin or Jared Allen or Daniel Hunter, you'll see these guys that have to turn off, and they don't, and sometimes it can maybe give them some health issues, or just they don't know how to turn off, or OCD, like they just can't turn it off. So I was really happy to read this story. The story was actually by ESPN's own Courtney Cronin, and she did a fantastic job with this story, because it just talks about how he had to take a step back and really had to find himself. And this guy he's really rejuvenated his career. He really has. And he only had 5.5 sacks last year. He's already got 7 this year. I picked him to get double-digit sacks. I'm really excited to see him come back like this, and it's just a great story. Now who was your player for the Packers, by the way? Yep. Who's your player for the Packers? Yo, hey Tristan, can you hear me, big guy?
I can hear you now.
Okay. Who is your player for the Packers?
Now.
Yeah.
Somebody I'm excited about having back?
Yeah.
I got to be honest with you. There's not really anybody that's been back that wasn't here last year that's really making an impact this year. Kind of embarrassing. But I think if I had to pick one player that was out the majority of last year that's really been really good this year is our offensive lineman, Brian Bulaga. Having him just makes a world of difference on the offensive line. And unfortunately, I think through 10 games, he had allowed 1 QB hit, but 0 sacks and like 2 pressures. So that's incredible. I mean, they went against Khalil Mack a couple times, or once so far. but they've went against some good defensive fronts, and he's held up really well. Better than Bakhtiari ever has, which is impressive because a lot of people consider him our best O-lineman. Mm-hmm. But one person that nobody's probably ever heard of is Elgton Jenkins, our rookie offensive lineman. He has allowed 0 QB hits, 0 sacks, and 0 pressures all season. And he's been a starter. He's been a starter since week 2, I think. But he's been phenomenal. I think he should probably win an award. I don't know if they have awards for linemen or something. He should definitely win something. He won't get offensive rookie of the year because he's a damn lineman. Yeah. But yeah, there's really nobody else I can think of that wasn't here last year that's really made an impact. Besides Brian Bulaga.
It's funny you bring up Elgton Jenkins because he was a guy I was looking at for the Vikings to get, actually, because they really needed some help with their interior offensive line. And I looked at him. He was a guy that had a solid anchor, great strike. Guy maybe too aggressive at times, but I mean, that's just part of the nature. That's the way you want to play. And I remember watching him. I'm thinking, okay, yes, the Vikings have to find a way to get this guy. And he's absolutely been, he's been a hand for the Packers. I actually saw, this isn't me taking a shot, but in the game against the 49ers. And this is actually really on him because I think every rookie goes through one of those welcome to the NFL moments. And, and it's funny sometimes because they talk about it and other times they just don't want to talk about it. But I remember, I think it was he went either against DeForest Buckner or Armstead. I can't remember, from the 49ers offensive line. And this dude got wrecked. I mean, I'm not trying to take shots at anybody here, but holy cow. He didn't allow a hit or a sack or anything, but he's going to remember that play for probably won't remember that play for.
Oh, yeah. I don't know the stats. I know that those stats were leading up to the 49ers game. I
didn't allow a sack, but.
Yeah, I would guess everybody, every offensive lineman on the Packers gave up a hit or a sack Sunday night. That Niners, the front line is absolutely terrifying. But
yeah, I know. I mean,
Rodgers couldn't catch a break, but yeah, it was rough.
Did you see? I saw a meme. It was hilarious. It was, if Aaron Rodgers, it was like he's, obviously he's with a State Farm and the Allstate commercials. Maybe if you had State from the Mayhem commercial, I died at that one. I'm sorry. I'm not taking shots at the Packers, but that was hilarious. Like that's hilarious.
That's a good one.
And also just the fact if I was Aaron Rodgers in that situation, I probably would have faked an injury because at some point that getting hit like that, that's just rough. Like that's everybody. They've been doing that to everybody this season. So it's really not necessarily on the Packers offensive line, even though they may not have shown up. I think it's just the fact that everybody in the NFL is embarrassed against that D-line, because I mean, let's be honest about something. They're all really good. They're all first-round draft picks. So of course, you're going to come in, you're probably going to get, shredded by that defensive line. And, it's just a matter of time. But yeah, I remember kind of going into it and just, I was expecting maybe, Rodgers get hit a couple times, but wasn't expecting that.
No, sometime later in the episode, maybe at the end, I need to give I'm going to rip into Aaron Rodgers a little bit for the first time ever.
The mic is yours.
We can save it.
Okay, we're going to save it? Okay. All right. In that case, I want to bring up a guy that you kind of highlighted. What we kind of talked about early in the year. George Kittle. You said he was the best tight end in football. I said you were nuts. Yes, Travis Kelce. Props to you, by the way. I actually looked this up one day. He is the number 1 rated tight end according to Pro Football Focus, because he is the best tight end in the NFL right now in everything. And I mean, if we're talking about run blocking, catching the football. Everything. He is the best tight end in football. With Travis Kelce, he's not a bad run blocker, but he is not near the type of run blocker that George Kittle is. George Kittle is the best tight end in football. I was always like having a foot in towards the argument. I'm all in now, baby. After seeing what he did against the Packers, I mean, this guy is unreal. I mean, from speed, strength, catching ability, stretching the field. Character, just great. I mean, this guy is the best tight end in football. So I don't think there's any argument there. Would it be too far-fetched if this guy was, healthy for the full 16-game season? Could it be too far-fetched this guy be named possibly an MVP?
It's pretty far-fetched, maybe. Because of how well, these other guys are playing. But
yeah.
I don't really know. He's so his charisma. Everybody loves him. his attitude. So I don't know if he was healthy for the full 16 games. You'd probably see some absurd numbers, but I don't think they'd be MVP numbers. If they gave out awards for position, he would win the best tight end in football, I think.
Yeah.
The stats, I always argue with my friend Ryan. Ryan's a Chiefs fan, and I always tell him Kittle's better than Travis Kelce. He's like, no, Travis Kelce's on another planet than George Kittle. I'm just like, yeah, he's probably on the planet that's under George Kittle because George Kittle is a far better run blocker. He's far faster. He's far more physical. I just think he plays better football, and that's my opinion. But, yeah, George Kittle's an animal. He's going to be around for a while.
Yeah, he is. And I thought you were crazy for a long time. I remember talking to Maurice Jones-Whiters about it, and I remember saying, Maurice, it's obviously Travis Kelce's the best tight end in football. Well, George Kittle has showed us to the contrary this year because, the way he's played and everything he's done. Just been a great, fantastic story. Really just want to give you props on that. You did call it, and, man, you got to love it when you're right. But we got to talk about Monday night here. We have to talk about what Lamar Jackson is doing right now. I think that it's safe to say he should be the MVP. And he's been a guy that I wasn't ever really at first. I wasn't big on. I've openly criticized him, but then he's come out and absolutely proved me wrong this year. I'm gonna let you take the floor on this one first because you were a guy that really believed in him from the very beginning, and that's absolutely on you, and you called that one right. So I'm gonna let you take the floor on this and just go off on his dominance because it's been fun to watch.
Yes, there should be no question at this point. I think if the season ended today, Lamar Jackson would unanimously win the MVP award. If I was in the voting committee, and I do think he will unanimously win the MVP award at the end of the season. Russell Wilson's playing great, but he's not the same animal as Lamar Jackson. We've never seen anything like Lamar Jackson. I don't think. With regards to Michael Vick, maybe, but other than that, we've never seen anybody play like Lamar Jackson. We've seen people play like Russell Wilson. He's putting up great numbers, but it's just what Lamar Jackson does on the ground that just sets him apart from everybody. I've been high on him for about 3 or 4 years when he was at Louisville. I remember, I think they were in like week 3 or week 4. I was at a Packers game actually, and we were in their bar, and I was with my dad. The Louisville game was on TV, and I'm just like, that guy's going to win the Heisman this year, no doubt. And he wins the Heisman that year, and then he plays again the year after, I believe. I think. Yeah, he didn't win it that year. I think Baker won it that year. But anyways, I couldn't believe he fell all the way to the end of the first round in the draft. It was absurd to me. I thought he would get the second maybe quarterback picked. And me and my friend Josh, we were on the same boat. We both watched him at Louisville. And last year when he wasn't even a starter, we would watch all the Ravens games. We were just like waiting for Lamar Jackson to get put in. We're just like, when's it going to be Lamar time? Because as soon as he gets put in, he's going to light people up. And he didn't do too good last year. Towards the end of the year, he caught on a bit, but, this year it's been incredible. I have some stats here. We'll go to Monday night. Last night against the Rams. Be a damn shame to play for the Rams Monday night. But he comes to your field, goes 15 for 20, 170 yards, 5 touchdowns. All passing.
Yeah.
139.4 rating, and he had 95 rushing yards on top of that. Some season stats, he's ranked number 11 in the NFL with 781 rushing yards. He has the league best yards per completion, 7.1. He's on pace for 1,300 rushing yards, and Mike Vick's record is 1,039 rushing yards.
Yeah.
He has already rushed for more yards this season so far than Cam Newton has ever rushed for in a single season. Wow. He has a 66.9 completion percentage. He's number 6 in yards per attempt, third best passer rating, which is 111.4. He's the second quarterback to ever throw 2 perfect passer rating games in a single season.
Really?
I can't remember. I think the only one to do it was Ben Roethlisberger like 12 years ago, I think.
Really?
He has 0 red zone picks. He's got 24 touchdowns, only 5 interceptions, and another 6 rushing touchdowns to go along with it.
Yep.
And I don't know. He's going to win MVP unless something drastic happens to him or the team. Yeah, there's no question in my opinion. He's running away with it.
Yep. That's you're absolutely right. I was wrong about this kid. I remember sitting here and I had questions about his arm strength. I had questions about if he could actually throw the football against a good team. The Rams are a playoff team. Let's put that out there right now. The Rams are on the fringe in the hunt in the NFC still right now, and I was wrong. I came out here. I openly criticized him. I said, I don't trust his arm strength. Don't think he's an MVP caliber player. Don't think he's a franchise quarterback. I was wrong. This guy's absolutely come out this year and proved everybody wrong. And I guess what really shocked me the most is really how much he proved that he could throw the football, man. Because last year there was no question that he could run the football. We all knew that. That was pie. That was easy. I guess everybody really wanted to know how he could come back after that playoff loss. And I kind of want to say that, come on, he was a rookie last year, and the way he played good in spurts. And maybe it was. Give the kid a break. He was a rookie. But also at the same time, I criticized him. And you know what? This year, he has proved to me he can throw that football. Some of the throws last night I saw, I swear I could feel some of the heat that was coming off those throws. Like literally just some of the strikes that he was throwing. It was absolutely incredible. I mean, just a great performance against a good team. And we've said we've been saying it throughout the last couple of weeks. He's been putting in a lot of good performance against good teams, and it's about time we gave the man give the man some credit. He's absolutely earned the MVP this year, ahead of Patrick Mahomes, ahead of Aaron Rodgers, ahead of Dalvin Cook, ahead of everybody, Russell Wilson, everybody. It doesn't matter. He deserves the MVP this year, and I think he's gonna be a shoo-in once he breaks Mike Vick's rushing record. And for our single season, I think that's it at that point. I think that's the only thing we're waiting on. And I think he'll get that within the next couple of weeks, to be honest. So,
yep.
But anyway, he might get it next game, to be honest with you.
He could.
Yeah. Yeah, just looking at this, yeah, dude's been balling out. Let's see here. And this was actually a question because I was talking about Lamar Jackson, and I was talking about the Patriots. I was talking about the Ravens with my coworker, Laura Brown, huge shout out. And we were talking, and we kind of put out the fact, we between a Super Bowl pick, who would go for the AFC, represent the AFC? Would it be the Patriots or Ravens? Who do you think right now is probably the pick to go in the AFC and represent them in the Super Bowl?
Baltimore.
Really?
No doubt about it. No. They played New England once this year, wrecked them.
Yeah.
Made easy work of the Patriots. And I think if they were to play them a second time around, they could probably make easier work of them. I don't doubt that New England would make some adjustments, but all the hype that was put on that New England defense, and then they'd never seen the New England defense before. They didn't know what to expect, and then they just roll into town and poop on them like it was no big deal.
Yeah.
I mean, it was in Baltimore, so they had that, but it's probably going to be in Baltimore again in the playoffs if we're being honest. Yeah. Even though New England currently sits in the 1 seed, I think they're 10-1. Baltimore's 9-2 now, I think. Yeah. I do think they'll finish the season with a better record than New England, probably. Even if it does have to go through New England, I don't see a way a defensive coordinator can plan to stop that offense. It's seemingly impossible the way I look at it. I play a lot of Madden. I think everybody knows this. Whenever I play the Carolina Panthers, it's a headache because you don't know what to do. You have to put a spy on Cam Newton every play because he can run. But if you put a spy on him, you're going to leave receivers open all over the middle of the field. And it's just if you're a defensive coordinator, it's an absolute nightmare. And I don't think it'll be this year, probably not next year. It might be a couple years before I think anybody can really figure out how to slow it down. But I do think if I had to put money on anybody, it's definitely Baltimore. In the NFC, I probably couldn't pick a team because it's so spread out. I'd probably have to pick San Francisco if I had to pick one team. But yeah, Baltimore for sure.
Mm-hmm. I'm probably going to receive some flack for this one. I'm going to go the Patriots. Here's why. Yeah, I know what you're thinking. People are, pour it on. Here's why. Bill Belichick, for the longest time, has come out in the playoffs and shocked everybody. It didn't matter who it was. It didn't matter if it was Peyton Manning back a couple years ago when he threw, 45, 50 touchdown passes, had a historic season with the Denver Broncos. It didn't matter who it was. This guy, Bill Belichick, with your cutoff sweatshirt and your short media answers. Let me tell you something. Bill Belichick takes your strength at the end of the day in the playoffs, not just the regular season. Ravens already owned him in the playoffs. We know that. Bill Belichick takes your biggest strength and uses it against you. Somehow, I believe that the Patriots are going to come back from this. I think they're going to go out. I think they're going to beat the Ravens. It's not going to be a lot. It's going to be 2, maybe 3, maybe by a touchdown at the very most. It's not going to be by a lot because the Ravens are that good. They're never out of it. I just don't think after a couple years ago, I can ever doubt the Patriots again. I put all my chips on the Atlanta Falcons to win that game in the Super Bowl, and we all know how that ended. Down 28-3, Tom Brady and the Patriots came back to win that Super Bowl, and I don't think any of us can ever doubt that man again, especially after what happened there. So I'm going to say right now, I believe the Patriots can come back, as much as it pains me to say, because Bill Belichick finds a way to make adjustments. He finds a way to, again, use your biggest strength as a weakness against you, and he turns it into a weakness. And I think that the Patriots are going to go to another Super Bowl. Tom Brady's not going to be the MVP of that Super Bowl. It's going to be his defense, his entire defense. And let's face it. Gilmore. Yeah, I know. No kidding. And here's the thing. It's going to be the Patriots. And it's not me. Lamar Jackson is the best football player in the NFL right now. He is the best football player in the NFL right now. I truly believe that. And because nobody can stop him. But I think the Patriots are going to find a way to do it because of this continued success that they've showed in the playoffs. So,
you can definitely put a spy on him, and you can try to contain him. But as soon as you get your ankles broken, it's a different story.
That's true.
But,
yep.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't have any doubt in Bill Belichick at all. I do think if they play again, it'll be probably a better game on the Patriots' part.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't know. I just don't see any way they could keep. The only way I can see it working is if Bill Belichick and the Patriots can manage to keep Lamar Jackson off the field a lot. Like,
yeah,
if they can sustain like 8-minute touchdown drives while they're on the field, and then limit Baltimore, which I doubt will happen. But it's just I think it's gonna be a game that's all dependent on a turnover if there is one, or it's going to be dependent on time of possession, whoever has the ball the longest.
Mm-hmm.
But, yeah, I do think that'll be the AFC Championship game. The Chiefs don't have what it takes. Their defense is – I honestly think if they get into the wild card round, they're probably lucky to see themselves out of the wild card round at this point because that's not a playoff defense. One team – I think my friend Cody will like is that I think in the AFC is going to sneak in, maybe win 1 or 2 games is the Tennessee Titans.
Yeah.
Tannehill seems to have found a good place for himself, which I'm happy. He's a very good quarterback. Mm-hmm. And ever since, he's been playing very well. They've been winning by large margins of points. But yeah, they're on a roll right now. I think they need to win. They almost need to win out. They can probably lose one more game. I think they play the Saints in a couple weeks, but I think the Titans will probably slip into the playoffs. They'll probably upset somebody too. Really? I don't think anybody's gonna beat Baltimore, but I think the Titans could come in and do something in the wild card round.
Mm-hmm. That's a good thing. That's actually a good way to put it. I have seen what Ryan Tannehill has been doing, and it's been very impressive. As far as minus seat pick, I don't think we can go with anybody but the 49ers. And that's because I'm going to say something right now. I don't think Jimmy G is the best quarterback, or I don't know if he's a franchise quarterback yet. He had a great performance. Don't get me wrong, but I still need to see more from him in order to call him a franchise quarterback. Let's face it, his defense is what's really going to make him. Because let's face it, when you are up by 2 scores and you have the best defense in the NFL, there's no pressure on you. Go out, run the football, and nobody talks about this. They have the second best rushing attack in the entire NFL, okay? Do you know how easy it is to run the football and play solid defense the entire game? Anybody could do that. The Vikings did that a couple years ago. And the only reason that the Vikings didn't go very far in the playoffs is because Blair Walsh, wide left, can't even bring it up on the air. Not doing it. I mean, it's so easy to play solid football by running the football and playing solid defense. And if he can and he showed it a couple times with George Kittle. He can stretch the field too. So you know what? I think we cannot pick anybody else but the 49ers to represent the NFC in the Super Bowl. That's just how it is. It's not me taking a shot at my Vikings. It's not about the Packers. No, this team is hot. This team is legit. They're the best team in the NFC, and they proved it on Sunday night. Excuse me. So I don't think 49ers, man, they're a shoo-in. They're going to the playoffs. Well, obviously they're going to the playoffs, but I think they're going to go to the Super Bowl this year. Let's see here. Playoff picks. We got those in. Let's see here. And this is something I said here because I think Garrett Gronlund brought it up in the podcast last week. And when we talked about the Vikings and the Packers, he said the Cowboys were the biggest playoff pretender. And I kind of agree with it, even though they just came off a pretty good performance against the Patriots. And I threw the Vikings into this question because I'm an Ebenezer Scrooge Vikings fan. I just expect the worst. So I asked, are the Vikings and the Cowboys the biggest playoff pretender? In that, who is the most inconsistent? I think it's the Vikings because they'll go out and get on Monday a huge Monday night win and then get down 20-0 against the Denver Broncos at home. And then the Cowboys, same thing, will lose to Minnesota one week and then go out the next week and give the Patriots a run for the money. So I think it goes both ways. I'm picking my Vikings because you want to talk about going out and playing a really good Packers team and almost coming away with the win and then not showing up for the Bears game. Last year with the Bills, don't need to say anything there. There's something about this team that I don't quite get, and show up against the Chiefs. Can't really run the football, to be honest with you. Like, it's just a whole bunch. The Vikings are the biggest playoff pretender in the league right now, and the Cowboys, don't get me wrong, they're pretenders, but they're not bigger pretenders than the Vikings. What about you, Big Man?
Yeah, and the NFC, I'm looking at it right now. I got to agree with you. The Niners, the Saints, the Packers, Seahawks, definitely not pretenders, I don't think.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I'm questioning Green Bay at this point.
It was one game.
I'm worried a little bit. But, yeah, I would. If I had to pick between the Vikings and the Cowboys, I'd pick the Cowboys because I don't know. Dak has shown a lot of what we've wanted to see this year. His passer rating is great. He's putting up like 400 yards a game. He's been playing great. Their defense has been giving up too many points.
Yep, that's true. That's really true. The defense, it's been tough though. It really has. And it's kind of funny. It's just really the entire thing of it, though. If you think about it, Tristan, I mean, they're defensively, offensively. Dak has been playing very well, and I called him out last week on the podcast. I said, hey, you're going to play a really good team again in the Patriots, and I remember saying, I don't care what you can do against the Dolphins. I don't care what you can do against the Giants. You go in against the Patriots, and you prove to me that you can absolutely do something. And I think he really showed up last week. I know they didn't win the game, but I also saw that I was watching the game. That was not a good call about tripping. That absolutely cost them the game. I was absolutely shocked by that. And if you're a Cowboys fan, you should be absolutely outraged because I am outraged for you. And hey, the Cowboys even ran the ball pretty well. So if this team can go up against the Patriots like that and do that well, I mean, Dak Prescott he's earned his money. I think that he's played a really great year yet, and I think he's earned his money. But as far as me for the playoffs, obviously you got to go with the 49ers. The Saints are in there, Seahawks, Packers, obviously. Tristan, I got to say this on air because I've had the feeling about it for the last couple of weeks. Do you remember when Ethan Volberg came on air and he said that the Lions were going to upset everybody and sneak into the playoffs? The most profound and biggest probably prediction I've ever heard in my entire life. Listen, he's not far off, but it's not going to be the Lions. I'm thinking that the Rams, possibly even the Bears, could come back and take out the Vikings because I just got a feeling like life's good right now, and it's almost too good. It's like a deer walking into a meadow and it hasn't been shot at all season long, and the life's just a little bit too good to be true. And then, bam, he hits you. Like you really cannot put it past the Vikings to give it you to upset you this much. Like this is cause for concern because of how much of a shot the Vikings have at making the playoffs this year. I don't care if they have a 99% way of making the playoffs. Until they have clinched a spot, I will not believe it. I think that somebody could upset the Vikings very easily because I think they're in that 6th seed, so they're still very much so out of the playoffs. I'm kind of looking at it. I just got a sick feeling about this. So I really do not feel great about it. I'm really scared for the Vikings because this is just, it reeks of disaster. It reeks of disaster. And it's just, I'm not ready for it. Let's see here. You have a Green Bay Packer rant that you want to talk about, Mr. Aaron Rodgers, and kind of go through that. Wow, that's another blooper. You have the mic.
Well, I hope this gets to him and he hears this. He probably won't. But the way he's been playing, his stats aren't awful. You're getting along good with your head coach. You have the crappiest attitude I've ever seen out of anybody on the Packers football team. It's wild. You would think if you're down 30-8 in a game where if you win, you can take first place in the NFC, that you might maybe have a little bit of urgency, or you might act like you care a little bit. You may maybe want to encourage the players around you and not criticize them every time they run a wrong route, because these guys are undrafted free agents, wide receivers that haven't played in the NFL before, and they're playing with Aaron frickin' Rodgers. You gotta try to uplift them a little bit. Whenever somebody runs a wrong route, he's out there scoffing at them, pointing out what they did wrong, even when he makes crappy throws. And it's just he acts like he doesn't have a care in the damn world what happens in the football game. They run no hurry up offense. It's just kind of like whatever I fumbled, whatever we just lost, we'll move on, blah blah blah. And it's just like during the game he shows no emotion. It's just getting really old. He's not really showing the leadership qualities that the quarterback should be showing. He's not playing with the same spirit or passion that he has before. I honestly think he's lost a little bit of love for the game. And it's hard to watch because you're used to him. I don't know. It could be because of the offense, because he's not doing much anymore. They're kind of relying on the run game a lot more, but it's just when he has to play, he's not the same Aaron Rodgers that he has been in the last previous years. And here and there, he makes a really good throw, and he still looks like the same guy, but it's just I think it's more of an attitude thing. His talent is still there, but, his attitude is just crap. And it's really, if the team wants to be more successful, especially on offense, I think if he keeps the same mentality and the same attitude he has right now going into the postseason or going into the last 5 games of the season, I don't doubt the offense does the same thing they did against the Niners, against the Redskins or the freaking Giants. If Aaron Rodgers doesn't start to get fired up and do what he needs to do, then we'll probably lose 1 or 2 to the Giants or the Redskins. I don't doubt it, but they need to get it figured out. I think he needs to start getting screamed at by Matt LaFleur, because it kind of seems like they're just buddies, hugging it out and talking it out. I was kind of hoping they would hire Josh McDaniels, because he rips into Tom Brady here and there, and Rodgers needs that. I've never seen McCarthy rip into him. I've seen him rip into Mike McCarthy, which it should be the other way around. But it's I do like Matt LaFleur as a coach, but they need somebody to put Rodgers in his place, because he needs to get put in his place.
Mm-hmm. Wow. Peak Tristan's very serious shout out there. Wow. You know what? I respect that, because, as a Vikings fan, it's very easy for me to hate Aaron Rodgers, because the man is he's my sworn mortal enemy as a Minnesota Vikings fan. But, I try not to use the term hate in sports, because it's a very strong word, and it's very ugly word. So I'm kind of looking at this, and I've looked at everything that Aaron Rodgers has done. I've looked at everything that he said, his actions, the way he's played, and the fingers. I heard a podcast today that said, how can you throw the ball 35 times and only throw for 104 yards? That's like 9 feet per throw. I died when he said that. And, I look at it now, and I think he hit the nail on the head with it. It's almost like he's not playing for something. It's almost like he's, I don't know, like he's sold out, and it's a shame thing to see because you're watching him and just such a talented and great player, and to see come up and play like that against the 49ers. I'm actually going to go in a different route here, Tristin, and this is why I believe that the Packers shouldn't panic yet. I believe it was a couple years ago. I'm not sure exactly the year. I try to block most years out since I'm a Vikings fan, and since there's not a lot of good years. Well, there's been no good years in terms of Super Bowl wins. So yeah, there's that. And I'm gonna go in a different route here. I think this is the game that Aaron Rodgers gets finally fed up. I think this is the game that makes him come back and realize that he has got to, and to quote you, he's got to pull his head out. He's got to be able to come back out and be able to play his best football yet. I think this is the game that Aaron Rodgers realizes that he, in everything he does, he is the leader of this football team of the Green Bay Packers. And unfortunately, I think this is the game that Aaron Rodgers realizes that he finds his path to being a Super Bowl MVP. I know that's probably a little far-fetched considering how they just came off a huge loss at the 49ers. Very embarrassing. Don't care. This is Aaron Rodgers we're talking about. He is in the conversation for one of the best football players in the entire NFL history. He's in Canton. I don't care what you say. Everybody should know this right away. Aaron Rodgers is going to Canton. Aaron Rodgers is a Hall of Fame quarterback, and I'm looking at this, and your words. I know you're saying it out of frustration, but I'm telling you, buddy, he's gonna. I have a feeling that this guy's gonna come out these last 4 or 5 weeks and just annihilate people because of how bad and embarrassed he is because of this game against the 49ers. I think it's gonna be a driving force. I really do. So as a Vikings fan, I'm giving you the proverbial pat on the back. Don't worry, big guy. We've had to deal with a lot worse. We've had to deal with Christian Ponder, man. You know what? Yeah. Just it'll get better. Trust me, they're gonna. Like I said, I think the Packers have got a shot this year. But anywho,
I agree. Sorry, I agree with you. I do think it's gotten to a point where Matt LaFleur needs to realize when you have Aaron Rodgers as a quarterback, he wants to run the ball a little too much. Mm-hmm. You kind of just need to put the game in the hands of the best quarterback that's played in the last decade.
Yeah.
If I'm not lying, it's Aaron Rodgers. But you kind of just need to put the game into his hands a little more. You need to let him spread the offense out, throw the ball more. You need to let him do what he's best at, and that's not handing the ball off. But I do think against the Redskins and the Giants coming up, it's no better opportunity to do it against two of the worst defenses. But if I don't see it against the Giants this weekend, if I don't see him start to pick it up, I will be extremely concerned. That'd be rough. But yeah, I do agree with you. I do think if there's a time to pick it up, it'll be now. And I do think they will pick it up like they did against the Raiders a few weeks ago. Mm-hmm. But yeah, it just needs to happen, or else I think they're in pretty big trouble.
Mm-hmm. You know what? Yep, we will. We'll have to see what happens. This last little bit segment here of the show, I actually kind of want to go over, Thanksgiving plans. Tristin, I know, is actually stuck. We had a huge snowstorm here in South Dakota. Absolutely awful. If you, everybody that listens to the podcast, first of all, thank you. We deeply appreciate it. And then number two, if you've never seen snow or experienced snow, we need to live where you are, because this is absolutely awful. It's been a barren wasteland of white here in winter South Dakota. I can't imagine what it's like up there in Vermilion. But yeah, you. I heard you're not gonna make it up to home, unfortunately. But I hope you're still gonna stay there and get fat off turkey.
Oh, absolutely. Turkey, ham, mashed potatoes, all the food. We'll have it. We'll be eating it. So,
do you guys have any traditions for Thanksgiving or not really?
Not really. Just the traditional foods. We break the wishbone. Oh, really? Traditional stuff like that. Yeah, nothing really unusual.
Okay. Well, the Halls, in our immense greatness, totally kidding. We actually have, we go hunting every year. The land is actually where my grandmother grew up and where she went to school and everything. I believe she's actually buried on the property. I could be wrong about that. No, incorrect. She's actually buried in Gettysburg, South Dakota, but she is very close to where she was buried, very, very close to where she grew up. Anywho, but yeah, when I was 6 years old, we went out to this property, and it is absolutely freezing out there. And I was 6 years old, and I'm too young to realize that, hey man, you have to be able to work. Like we literally stayed in a tent in the middle of November. Like cold. Okay. And, it's just funny because looking back on it now, I've grown to enjoy my time there. We hunt every year. I shot a nice buck last year. Going to try to get a buck this year. My brother is back in town. He's back from Hawaii for good now. He's going to be back in the United States for the foreseeable future. And it's good to be having back, good to be around family. I'm going to eat a lot of pie. I'm going to take a serious step back here. Last week I was pretty sick, so I lost a little bit of weight. I'm looking to put that weight back on, Tristin, and I'm looking to do it with pie. I've got my sights set on the pie. I've got it set on the cream corn, the green bean casserole. I don't care. It has been coming for too long, and I'm extremely excited. Thanksgiving is great. Okay, another question for people. What is the greatest season? Is it Christmas season, or excuse me, holiday? We'll go holiday. Greatest holiday. I'll let you go first on this. Okay, greatest holiday, Christmas, 4th of July, all of them. Thanksgiving. What's your take? Greatest holiday?
Shoot. Let's see. In terms of having fun, probably the 4th of July, because you're not really. I'm not really obligated to spend it with my family because we don't really do anything. So I kind of, meet up with the boys, have some drinks, do some stuff on the water, But as far as my favorite other holidays, I'd probably have to go with either Christmas or Easter. One being because of Christian background. Other reason because our family always gets together and we always have some kind of huge freaking turn up at somebody's house of some sort, have a giant Easter egg hunt, or everybody from a whole freaking family tree meets up somewhere. So it's always fun. What about you?
Absolutely. Oh man, my mom is the way too much of like a Christmas, like she's a Christmas geek is what I call her actually, because she makes these wreaths made out of Christmas bulbs. And it's for that reason of her fondness, we'll go with that word, for how much she likes Christmas, that I will not pick Christmas as the number one. I won't do it because I don't think it's the best one. I love getting gifts, by the way, both receiving and giving. I do like that aspect of it. But I actually... Christmas. Okay, best thing here. Oof. I'm going to go with an underdog here. I'm going to go with Thanksgiving because I really do enjoy spending time with family a lot, eating food. I've got after work tomorrow on Wednesday, I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to drive up to Pier. My brother's got a new pickup. We're going to go up and convoy up to Pier, hang with the fam for, 4 or 5 days, come back to work on Monday morning. And it's just going to look like it's really fun. It's going to be a great time. But I do get what you're saying about the 4th of July. I think my appreciation for the 4th of July has really grown because of, with just hot dogs and everything. And plus, come on, fireworks. And you got stuff on the lake. And you know what? I think that would be number 2. I put both of those before Christmas because my mother loves Christmas enough for the both of us. So I think that's enough there. But anywho, that's all we got for pretty much this week. We kind of brought this episode to you a little early because we wanted to get it done. It's actually Tuesday, but we'll we're just happy to be able to do it and bring it up and get it done for you guys. You know what? I think from all of us here, we wish everybody a very happy Thanksgiving and probably a little too early Merry Christmas. So. But anyway, from everybody here at the Sports Brief Podcast, happy Thanksgiving. Thanks to our listeners. Remember to subscribe. You got anything else before we head out, big guy?
No. Drive safe if you live here.
Yeah. Amen. All right. Thanks, everybody, again for listening.